Hey guys, welcome back to Mock Draft Madness, day 26. I'm doing a mock draft every single day until the NFL draft on April 25th. If you don't know ball, want to know ball, be sure to subscribe, leave a like. Let me know in the comments your favorite, least favorite pick from this mock draft, as well as trade scenarios. I'm sorry if you left one yesterday and I haven't gotten to it yet. I'm about a day behind. I just stumbled all over my words. It's been a long day. I'll probably yawn a couple times through this. But I was already in the middle of a video and the audio stopped recording and I was already about halfway through. So it's kind of hard to just pick up from there. So we're just going to restart the mock. We're just going to restart it. I'm going to repeat the same things I did in that mock because it was actually pretty interesting. Probably not going to happen, but interesting. So number one, we got the Bears going Caleb Williams. Easy pick, right? Number two, I got the Washington Commanders going Drake May. The reason I have them going Drake May is because I think the level of prospect that he is a little bit higher than what you're going to get with a Jaden Daniels. I think Jaden Daniels is probably better right now, but in the future, Drake May is probably that prospect. So, looking at Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3 for the New England Patriots, and here is why. The reality is, I don't know if they love Jaden Daniels in terms of being that guy that's going to elevate their franchise. I think he possibly could be. I don't know if the Patriots are the guy that it's going to be. Do I think they would stay here and take Marvin Harrison Jr.? Probably not, especially when you can get probably a treasure trove of picks from a team like the Vikings willing to move up and take, J.J. McCarthy. Because my thing is, if the New England Patriots go Jaden Daniels, the Vikings have to get up to pick 4 or 5 to pick before the Giants, because I think the Giants would take J.J. McCarthy if there. I think the Giants are also banking on the fact that Jaden Daniels will be gone. I think Jaden Daniels is their preference over J.J. McCarthy. So in this mock draft with the New England Patriots taking Marvin Harrison Jr., and I want to leave a disclaimer, I don't think this is going to happen, even though I already said it, because I already know we're going to get a comment that says, bro, do you actually think this will happen? I get that every video, even though when I know I'm on the mic saying that, no, I don't think this is going to happen. So, but guess what, guys? We're doing 26 days of mock drafts. We're all degenerates. If you're sitting here watching me do a mock draft for the 26th day in a row, we got to try something different. So, with the Arizona Cardinals on the board, and Marvin Harrison Jr. is not there, I think they could trade back. But in reality, I think that the Vikings are going to trade up if they're sure they can't get any of the top 4 quarterbacks. The reality is the Cardinals and the Chargers are not looking to draft either of the quarterbacks. So what you can do is you can just go Malik Neighbors here, who ran a 4.35 at his pro day today, and now you're sitting at the clock with the Los Angeles Chargers. So I still think they're going to go right tackle, especially after Jim Harbaugh's comments. I think he could possibly trade back and get a lineman, but the reality is he believes that the whole team relies on the offensive line to be good. If they draft a receiver at 5, I very, very likely doubt it. So I'm going to go Fuaga here I guess it is pronounced Fuanga with an N, even though there's no N in there. But that's how he said it on NFL Network. So it's Fuanga. Rashawn Slater, Fuanga. Now, with the New York Giants on the clock, they are going to take quarterback Jaden Daniels, which works out very nicely for the Minnesota Vikings because they don't have to trade up a ton to go get their guy. So now we're sitting at the clock with the Tennessee Titans. Do I believe they're going to go left tackle here? I believe they are going to go offensive line. But for the sake of the mock, because we've done that so many times in a row, let's go Rome Odunze to the Tennessee Titans. Rome Odunze, Calvin Ridley, D-Hop, Treylon Burks, giving Will Levis as much as he can to work with and giving him good receivers to develop with. Now, number 8 is where I think the entry point into the NFL draft starts. In this mock, at least. Not in reality. 4 or 5, maybe 3 is where it starts. So, the Atlanta Falcons are, in a prime position because if they are to move back to this range, 11, 12, and 13, they can probably still get their top defensive player while also picking up draft assets. So what I'm going to have them do is I'm going to have them trade back with the Broncos. I'm going to give them this. They're going to give us 109, and once both teams add picks. Oh, number 8. So I wonder why. I think it's going to take a first, guys, because also you're competing with like these teams right here. Well, I don't know as much about the Raiders, but so I think this is probably what it would take to get it done. Obviously a swap, and then the Cardinals have a monopoly on third-round picks from 74 to 79. So we're going to force that trade through, and the Broncos are on the clock, and they are going to select J.J. McCarthy. Now, with the Bears on the clock, Brock Bowers is a very appealing option. I do think with Ryan Poles being a former lineman himself, he is probably going to lean Joe Alt because he is probably the best tackle on the board, one of the best prospects at left tackle we've seen in quite a while. So shoring up that offensive line, especially even when you have Braxton Jones as your swing tackle, that is a very, very appealing option. Now, with the New York Jets on the clock, I think Brock Bowers is, again, very appealing, but their O-line is kind of like a one-year deal. Like, we know they're injury prone. We know they can't stay healthy. So taking another guy in Olu Fashanu who can be your succession plan and also your guy that can step in as soon as one of your, if Tyron Smith goes down, especially because you have a 2-year window with Aaron Rodgers. So now with the Vikings on the clock at 11, they are sitting here in an awkward position because I don't think this pick will be used as a quarterback. I think that's honestly why they got pick 23. Because if you look at the Vikings, they only have 11, 23, and then pick 108 because of the TJ Hawkinson trade. They don't have their third this year, and they gave up their second to go into, to pick 23. So a quarterback is being drafted with a trade up or at 11 or 23, guys. That's going to be the reality for the Vikings. They're going to be taking the quarterback here, but maybe not at this pick. So with, the Vikings on the clock, I think adding a guy like a Byron Murphy could be very, very good, especially with the additions of Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel. At number 12, we have the Atlanta Falcons. They're able to get Dallas Turner while also picking up draft capital. I think this is a prime option for the Atlanta Falcons. When you look at their draft capital over the next 2 years, they have a fourth, 3/3 this year, and then next year they have 2 firsts. So I think it is a very good option for the Atlanta Falcons if that's the reality for them on draft night. So I think they're going to lean, the Las Vegas Raiders are going to lean corner. It's very boring, guys. I keep going, Terrion Arnold and Quinyon Mitchell. But I think there is a world where they say fuck it. I think there is a world where they say fuck it and go Bo Nix. Do I think that world is anywhere near our planet or galaxy? Probably not. But it does exist. There is a world. So at number 14, I think Fautanu would be a great selection for the Saints, and here's why. True 5-position versatility. Ramczyk might not be back next year. Penning has not panned out. Ruiz is kind of or I believe he's a free agent, right? Or one of the other. He's just getting older, not the player he was. They have to rebuild the trenches. And this is a guy that you can plug and play anywhere. Like, this is a guy can be a good player for you. And the reality is, how can you pass on him if this board is falling the way it does? At number 15, we have the Indianapolis Colts, and they're just going to take... Brock Bowers would be a hard pass. I think if you're going to go BPA, Brock Bowers is definitely the pick, and you're giving more weapons to Anthony Richardson to develop. And I believe that is the most important thing about the team. Your team is going to win if your quarterback is good. Obviously, you need to put good players around him. But the reality is, if you have a great team but you don't have the quarterback, you're probably not going to win. It's just the reality. Seattle Seahawks on the clock. I don't love the idea of them going defense here. I don't. I think there has to be an interior player, and I think that will probably be Jackson Powers Johnson. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to trade. Well, actually, no, that would not happen. I was thinking about trading back with like the Rams, but they're not going to trade with the division rival. Maybe what we can see here, because I think Jackson Powers Johnson will be the pick. But I also really like the idea of Graham Barton going to the Seahawks. I think that would be a really good addition for them. And I'm trying to think of a team that might want to trade up. If I look at like the Steelers here, 4 picks. Maybe we give them 98 that they got from Philly for Kenny Pickett. We give them 16. Wait, is that just like, is the value too high? Like, what is... I'm going to force it through, but... So now the Steelers are on the clock at 16, and we're going to give them Jackson Powers Johnson. You know, very close. Well, no, I'm capping. The Seahawks are close to home. Jackson Powers Johnson can fix that center position that is desperately needed for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jacksonville Jaguars on the clock. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm getting a little trade crazy, guys. I am going to... Yeah, no, never mind. I'm not going to do that. Quinyon Mitchell to the Jacksonville Jaguars, pair him with Tyson Campbell. 18, we have the Cincinnati Bengals on the clock. Honestly, Terrion Arnold and Jerzon Newton falling this far is kind of criminal, but I really like the idea of adding, you know, a wide receiver here in a Brian Thomas Jr. to pair with T. Higgins and, you know, Jamar Chase. I don't necessarily believe T. Higgins is going to be traded. I think he's going to play out the franchise tag, but it is a reality, and then your wide receiver room kind of looks a little rough, so this is a pick that kind of solidifies that. Jerzon Newton to the Rams. Got to do whatever you can to replace Aaron Donald. At 20 with the Seahawks, like I was saying, Graham Barton, true 5-position versatility. You can play interior, but also your tackles are young. They're a little banged up last year. Guy who can fill in a pinch for you. So now we have the Miami Dolphins on the clock with the release of, Xavier Howard. And if you want to look at like the Dolphins depth chart, it's not super nice at cornerback. You know, you have Jalen Ramsey, Kader Kohu, Kendall Fuller. So not horrible, but if you can upgrade with a guy like a Terrion Arnold, that would be very, very nice. I think the reality, though, and you don't know how long Teron Armstead has left. So maybe you look at a guy like an Amarius Mims, and that's where I think I'm going to go. I think that would definitely be a guy who can fill in for Austin Jackson if he's hurt, Teron Armstead if he's hurt, but also will mainly be focused on development this year as a, younger player who doesn't have a lot of experience. And they're going to have a succession plan for Teron Armstead. So, 22 to the Philadelphia Eagles. I think adding a wide receiver here could be dope, but you have 2 second-round picks, so the reality is you can probably add one there. You can get your succession plan in Lane Johnson with Tyler Guyton, and that would be great. But the reality is Lane Johnson may have 2 years left, and I don't know if that's worth the pick, especially with Terrion Arnold on the board, because Arnold is probably CB1 in my opinion. You could get Cooper DeJean to have him play safety, But like between Quinyon Mitchell and Terrion Arnold, I just love the way they play, and I think that would be a great addition, especially because the Eagles are getting a little bit older in the room. Now we have the Vikings on the clock, and there is no chance they walk out of the first round without a quarterback. Michael Penix Jr. is a Minnesota Viking. I don't know how. I actually think he'd be pretty good in that offense. I could be wrong, but this kind of seems like plan B. They strike me more as a Penix team than a Knicks team. So let me know what you guys think. I mean, this is 6 quarterbacks going in the first round, so it's not impossible, but not likely. So now you have the Dallas Cowboys. They need offensive line help. Let's go take a look at this decimated Cowboys O-line. So you have Tyler Smith playing left tackle, Terrence Steele playing right tackle. It's just not what it was. So here's my question for you. Do you want Tyler Smith to just play guard? And then you could have, because he's moved around. I also don't think it's out of the question. Do they go defense? I mean, they went Mozzie Smith last year. I didn't really love the pick. We have Jared Verse on the clock. I mean, I don't even know what you do with the Cowboys, honestly. Brock Hoffman is your center. What would you guys do with the Cowboys in this situation with this board? Like, you don't need... Maybe Cooper DeJean could work for them. I just think O-line is so much more of a need. And, like, do you go with a Zach Frazier, like a guy who you know is going to be your center? I could feel like the Cowboys could do that. I'm going to go Zach Frazier to the Dallas Cowboys. 25, Cooper DeJean to the Green Bay Packers. That is pretty much, if he's on the board, I don't see how they take anybody else. Jared Verse to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He is too good of a player to have fallen this far, and Todd Bowles is going to see him and probably sprint out to the podium. I'm trying to think never mind, it was a bad joke that wasn't going to work. 27, Arizona Cardinals. We took Malik Neighbors, pick 1. I think Laiatu Latu is one of those guys that you can lock in very easily here if he's available for the Arizona Cardinals. I think they are trying to build best player available because they have so many gaps on their team. Buffalo Bills need help in the secondary, and they also need help at wide receiver. But I would say their secondary is a little bit more important, so I'm going to go Nate Wiggins to the Buffalo Bills. 29, we have the Detroit Lions on the clock. They need cornerback badly, and with Kool-Aid McKinstry on the board. You know what? I like Mike Sandstrom, but I'm not completely out. I've always liked Kamari Lassiter. But I've just, as the process has gone on, I've started to like him more and more. And he's kind of nuts. He's kind of crazy. And I think I like him a little bit. I don't know how much I like him. I like him over Kool-Aid. Not to say Kool-Aid's bad. I don't want to say I like him over Kool-Aid. I just think they're just different types of players. They need corner. And I think they might go Mike Sandstrom here. I think Lassiter's he is day 2. I don't know, guys. I've been sitting here pondering in my head. The reality is I think Kool-Aid is probably the better player It's just going to all come up to what the Lions want. But I believe the pick will be corner. At number 31, if J.C. Latham is here, that's going to be your pick. Best tackle by far of it on the board, and they need tackle. Regardless if you got to play him at left or right. I know you have Ronnie Stanley, but you got to figure that out. 31 to the San Francisco 49ers. I think there is a chance that Ayuk or Debo are gone before the season starts. I think Adonai Mitchell could be a really good addition for them. The only issue I have with Mitchell is he lets up a little bit on plays, and I don't know if that's something that Shanahan's going to want. So I think Tampa could be a good addition for the 49ers. They got to add to that corner room. Well, I'll tell you who really doesn't give a fuck about some of that shit, and that's the Chiefs. So Adonai Mitchell is a Kansas City Chief. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been You Don't Know Ball Mock Draft Madness Day 26. If you don't know ball and want to know ball, be sure to subscribe. Leave a like. Let me know in the comments your favorite and least favorite pick from this mock draft, as well as trade scenarios. Like I said, I'm a little behind on comments, so if you left a scenario yesterday, I will work on getting it into the video tomorrow, and I will do my best to read these comments before I do my video tomorrow. Well, hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Less than 30 days to the